Okay, so let's take a look at what are temporary tables in SQL Server. So I have logged into Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio and I have connected to one of the database. Okay, and you can see there are few database like TestDB and Wildword Importer DB. Right now, the temporary table that we are talking about is of two types, right? So one being local temporary table, second being global temporary table. So local one starts with hash symbol, whereas global one starts with double hash symbol, right? And local one is accessible from same session, whereas your global temp table would be accessible from multiple sessions, or you can say all sessions. Similarly, your local temp table can be dropped by the same session, whereas it can't be dropped by other connections and their respective sessions, right? So when you're using global temp table, it can be dropped by other connections, whereas your local temp table can't be dropped by other connection than the one where it created. Okay, so what we will do is we will first call for a new query, right? So let's say we have to pick a database, so choose the one. Okay, so let's go with TestDB. We have our query editor here. Now what we'll do is we will type in create table and then create local temp table. So we'll type in hash local and then my user, right? And then we will simply add the bracket. Within that, we'll make sure to add one integer value, one var_50, right? And then address var_50, right? And then we will close this table and then call for go, right? And similarly, if we execute this, we will try. Okay, now that we have executed the command, you can see it is completed successfully. So what we will try to do is we will try and write insert query. So insert, then into, then hash local my user, right? And then values, let's say 1, then my name, then address, right? Similarly, we can add multiple values so that we have something to show, right? So let's go with 2, 3, 4 and then 5. Right, so what we'll do is we'll select it and execute the query. Here you see these rows are affected. Now to view the data, what we'll do, select all from and then hash local my user, right? And then if we execute the query, you can find your results, right? So we have created this local temp table. Similarly, we can also create global table, and in case of global table, we will type in create table double hash, then global, then my users, right? And then here, let's say I will go with same user table values, right? Here you see ID, name and address, both being varchar, right? And then basically we will run this. So select all, execute, and it executed perfectly. Now insert into double hash global my users. Notice that we are using double hash, right? And here we are going to add value, right? So let's start with last time's approach of creating multiple rows of this data. Right, so let's change few values to see how it works. Right, so here I'm going to push this data by pressing execute or F5, right? Then next thing we will remove this and select all from this particular global temp value, right? So this table should look something like this, right? So we have seen how the local temp table is created, then we add data into it, then accessed as well. We also managed to create a global temp table as well. Now if we want to remove these tables, what we can do is we can simply type in drop table if exists, and then let's say local, then let's try to find out if it's there. So it shows different value, so hash local user, right? And then basically we call for go, right? And here you see that is now removed. So if we try and do, let's say, select all from local user, it should flag an error, right? So it works. Similarly, we can also remove the global temp table from top table if exists double and then global users, and then go, then execute. And here you see that is also removed. So we will try and select all from global users, and here you see we already see the error. So here you see both local and global temp tables are removed. There are multiple ways to even remove them by using object ID as well as sys_table as well. But okay, now we have deleted both global and local temp tables. We will take a look at one more way to get rid of them. Obviously you will be getting error like this because they are already removed. So the another method that we are going to take a look at is with respect to object IDs, right? So another method is by calling object underscore ID and then check for the table. So if it's tempdb or if it is dbu dot dot then hash local user, as you can see it's already removed, so it will be flagging an error. And then we will call for begin, then drop table, go with local user, right? And then end and go, right? So it should get rid of that particular table, right? Considering we have this as a local temp table, we'll just have to execute this. Now another method is with our context of our global temp table. If let's say object underscore id and n and then dbo dot dot double hash global users, right? And is not null, then begin, then drop table, right? And then double hash global users, right? And then we end and go. So that should get rid of our global temp table. So you get the idea how to get rid of your local temp table and global temp table with the help of object ID.